Wanna see if I make it. Put my back against the wall, put my head to the sky. No, I won't let them break me. I got great expectations. Great expectations.
Yeah, all the stares and all the glares, they waiting on them. And all the weight from all the hate, they standing on them. The intensity as it rises, nobody can disguise it. It's like he got fire in his eyelids. The crowd is roaring, it's so enormous, his blood is boiling. His head is down and he's focused, he wishes they'd ignore him. Who in their right mind wants to let his light shine? He ain't even in his prime, pressure of a lifetime. He's standing steady, head sweaty, maybe nervous but ready. The skepticism lies heavy, he's about to make it petty. He got his fam on his back, not to carry like Chevy. So much on his plate, he hopes the repercussions ain't deadly. But he
Guys, welcome to another episode of the Right Way Show, live on the Right Way Sports Network's YouTube channel. I'm your host, CEO of the Right Way Sports Network, Malik Wright, joined with my co-host and our guest co-host tonight. We got Rishi in the building. How's it going, Rishi?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. We got Max in the building. What's going on, Max?
What's going on? I'm happy to be back.
Well, Max is back in the building. Yeah, you just reminded me. We got the Cali kid who's residing in Arizona right now in the building. What's going on, Danny?
Hopefully my hair is looking a little bit better than last week.
Don't worry. You look like Adam Gase. It's okay.
Not anymore, but I'm doing good. Excited for this.
And we've got Jake Circus in the building, my arch nemesis. How's it going, Jake?
What? Oh, we're arch nemesis now?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm doing great. It's a good time for sports right now, and gotta tone in all these football games because they're not gonna be around for much longer. So
yeah,
kind of depressing.
It is depressing.
I'm very excited.
But it is what it is. Guys, got a jam-packed show. A lot of stuff we want to talk about, a lot of things we want to get into. Make sure, before we start the show, like you do up top, and as the ticker says at the bottom, you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to TWSN's YouTube channel. Make sure you download the TWSN mobile app, and you follow us on all of our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. Guys, jumping right into it. I'm going to start in the NFL, right? Majority of the show is going to be in the NFL. But I want to start it off with the first topic of the night. Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans are at odds. Deshaun Watson is reported that he wants out of Houston. I don't know if I believe the reports, but they're saying Deshaun Watson's unhappy. He's unhappy because of the coaching search. He's unhappy because he was lied to. He's unhappy because, I don't know, he's just unhappy. I got to ask you guys, where do the Texans and Deshaun Watson go from here? Rishi, you're our guest. I'm going to let you take this one, my man.
All right. Yeah. So if I'm the Texans GM and, there's obviously a lot of rumors just spreading around with Watson, his unhappiness, why he's unhappy, he wants to be traded and blah, blah, blah. If I'm the Texans GM, I have a generational talent, right? I'm actively shopping him, but I don't think that any team would really be able to give me what I want for the generational talent, right? He's extremely young. He's already a top 5 quarterback in the league. So until, Deshaun Watson actually starts out games and, he actually threatens to hold out and, week 1 preseason and preseason passes and the regular season starts. And if he actually threatens to, start sitting out games, then, maybe I'd consider moving him on and, try to sacrifice his trade value. But if I'm the GM right now and I really doubt any team is really giving them what they want and what they believe is true value is. So if I'm the Texans, I'm not really compelled to make a trade unless, I'm given an extremely great offer.
Right. Jake.
Well, the relationship or what's left of it is gone. Because it's so hard for all of this to come out and then for him to play more games. And because what everyone's hearing is that Jack Easterby, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Easterby.
Easterby. Okay. So Jack Easterby, what he's doing to the Texans organization is terrible. This organization is bottom 3, maybe even bottom 2 in football. And Deshaun Watson has had enough of it. JJ Watt's had enough of it, but JJ Watt's kind of, he's on his way out. But what's left of this relationship is just crumbles. It's almost non-existent. I don't see how he plays another game for Houston. And yeah, Rishi is right. Deshaun Watson's worth, I think, 4 first-round picks and a starter. And I think it would take 3 first-round picks to start a conversation to start a trade negotiation. That's what it would take to start it. If Jamal Adams can get 2 first-round picks and a quality starter in Quandre Diggs, Deshaun Watson should get at least double that.
So let me just respond to that. First off, it all depends on the relationship, right? If let's say the Houston Texans bring in Eric Bieniemy and that's who Deshaun Watson wants, then maybe he stays, right? But if that's not the way it goes, I have a team. One of our guys is a huge fan of the Miami Dolphins, right? I'm a huge fan of Tua Tagovailoa, but they have. I would be, if I'm the Houston Texans and you're getting rid of Deshaun Watson, I would take Tua, both of these first round picks this year, their first round pick next year, and a third next year. And I think that's a great offer if I'm the Houston Texans.
That would get it done. I think that would definitely get it done because Tua is worth at least he's worth more than a first. Like I'm just like Quandre Diggs isn't worth a first, so I think Tua 2 more first round picks that kind of equals 4 first round picks to me.
Max, you're the Miami Dolphins fan. You're the resident Miami Dolphins fan.
No, I agree with that. I mean, listen, for the sake of the Dolphins, I hope the trade happens. If not, well, let's continue developing Tua, and I have confidence in Tua to be the guy to lead our franchise. But to answer the question, how should the Texans handle Deshaun Watson? I mean, I think Daniel's point is the one I agree with the most, right? I think you have to take it step by step. Hire your coach first, right? And make sure that it's a coach that Deshaun Watson is comfortable playing under, and make sure that you also handle the other locker room situations as well. I mean, I know J.J. Watt is pretty much requesting a trade on his own. He's probably not going to be there. And I'm sure they have some other roster issues they need to deal with. And take it in stride as well, right? I mean, as we're not even done with this season, so we don't even know the official draft order. Once we get the official draft order, right, we're going to start seeing teams make moves in free agency.
Yeah,
and more teams are going to put themselves in position to maybe make a move. So whereas the Dolphins are considered, I guess, the front runners right now by the media, I don't think that they're going to be the only ones trying to go after Deshaun Watson, obviously. So we'll see what other teams have to offer. But again, the biggest factor that no one's talking about here is the fact that he has a no trade clause, so he can decide where he goes.
Absolutely.
Whereas, like for example, I think the Jets probably can give them the best offer, probably better than the Dolphins, because you give them a Darnold and then they have the number 2 pick and they have tons of draft capital. But what does he really want to play there, right? So that's going to be a factor as well. So that's my take on it.
I think the biggest issue I have with this entire Deshaun Watson situation is not that Deshaun Watson wants to do what's best for Deshaun Watson. I mean, we've seen players in recent years starting to do what's best for them, and I think it's a very, very smart thing. The one issue that I see is that the Houston Texans, right, you guys made a decision to get rid of Bill O'Brien. Why did you make the decision to get rid of Bill O'Brien? Because he literally handicapped your football team for the foreseeable future. Like, he traded away all these different picks. He wasn't a good decision maker on the field. I mean, his coaching decreased too, but in large part, Bill O'Brien is no longer the head coach of the Houston Texans, not because of his on the field antics, it was because of his off the field stuff. It was because of the trading of DeAndre Hopkins. And, the Houston Texans became it's one of the least desirable situations right now in the National Football League. So I feel like right now, I know they went out and they signed Nick Caserio, I think his name is, from the New England Patriots. That was a good hire. That was a guy that they've been targeting for quite some time. So right now he's doing a little bit of a damage control, right? He's doing a little bit of damage control over in Houston right now. But I think the biggest issue I had was you got rid of Bill O'Brien. Your main focus should be doing what's best to make your franchise passer, your franchise quarterback happy. And to me, it seems like McNair, Easterby is clearly an issue there as well. It seems like he's sticking to his guns. It seems like he's playing hardball a little bit right now. So I don't know if he necessarily has Deshaun Watson's best interest. I'm not going to sit up here and tell Deshaun Watson to force his way out, but what I am going to say is I have an issue that you're an owner of an NFL football team and that you know that there are issues on your football team. You kind of know where the issues are sort of where they root from in Jack Easterby. I mean, you've heard Andre Johnson come out and say things. You've heard DeAndre Hopkins allude to things, and you got Deshaun Watson, who's hanging out with Andre Johnson, who's not on good terms with the organization himself right now, and he's an all-time legend for the Houston Texans, probably one of their only legends. God only knows what's being said in his ear. So the simple fact that you guys didn't even say, okay, let's do right by Deshaun Watson, because from what Deshaun Watson was saying, or at least the reports were saying, was Deshaun Watson was told he was going to be in on the GM search. Deshaun Watson was told, on the head coaching search. Deshaun Watson said he was going to be in on these meetings, and none of those things occurred. So he feels disrespected in this situation. It almost reminds me of the Carson, and I don't mean to bring the Bengals up, but it almost reminds me of the Carson Palmer situation with the Cincinnati Bengals. Carson Palmer was promised a lot of stuff by Mike Brown. He was promised that, they were going to do this and do that, and he felt slighted. He felt disrespected. He wanted out. So this is what this situation sort of reminds me of. Jake, you're about to say something?
Yeah, Carson Palmer, one of those things that he was promised. Carson Palmer was promised that the Bengals would actually hire a GM, and for a very long time, the Texans head coach was their GM. So Deshaun Watson has never really had a GM. The Texans just hired someone from the Patriots scouting department, I think, or their upper front office to be their GM. So this is the first GM that he's really had. This is the first GM that the McNairs have hired in a while. And there's tons of background of past stuff that the baggage that the McNairs have. So they're in some like the overall shape of the organization right now is just on a downswing.
Yeah, like if I'm Watson, there's nothing that the Texans have done that can like prove to me that they're actually listening to me, that they value like my input, and that they're like really trying to build a franchise around me, right? Like you trade away Clowney for like almost nothing. You trade away DeAndre Hopkins for a second-round pick, and like they're just kind of disassembling the team. And he wants to be in the GM search. They're not even doing that. So if I'm Watson, or at least from what we know, obviously we don't know all the insider details, but at least from what we know, there's nothing that the Texans have done that can really, that I think would, make Watson want to stay on the Texans, right? He probably should demand a trade, but obviously we don't know.
I just think it's very, very important that transparency is important. That's what I'll say. Transparency is extremely important right now. And when you lie to your franchise quarterback or you're not upfront honest with them, listen, right now, them going out requesting to interview Eric Bieniemy doesn't scream to me that, hey, we want Eric Bieniemy. This does not scream that to me. It doesn't. To me, it seems like it's a panic move. That being said, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, and we're going to talk about Eric Bieniemy later in the case, later on the show, but if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm looking at that Houston Texans job and I'm like, not touching it. I'm not touching it. If everybody's complaining about one guy, and I'm not saying he's the only issue with the Houston Texans, the common denominator has to be that one guy. You have to look in your mirror as an organization and say, okay, this person's the problem. I'm the owner of the Right Way Sports Network. If there's an issue, right? Let's say people are complaining about me. I have to look at myself in the mirror eventually and be like, okay, like Jake complains about me, right? Jake, no, we love each other here at the Right Way Sports Network. But seriously though, if everybody's complaining about one guy, I'm not going to be like, I like this guy, so what? It's what I want. I'm just going to turn a blind eye to all the BS, right? People have to stop looking so short-sighted. It's about the longevity. It's about the future. You got to be smart about it. But like I said, listen, we're going to keep it going. Another quarterback potential rift with an organization, but it's starting right now with the coach, apparently, rumors say. Jared Goff and Sean McVay are at odds. I wish I could say I didn't see this coming, but I kind of saw it coming. You know what I mean? It's for so long can you mask a quarterback's flaws? Can you mask a quarterback's inefficiencies? And I kind of want to get you guys' take on that, Jared Goff, and Sean McVay. So I guess the question I'm going to ask is, what should the Rams do, Max?
Well, we know that Jared Goff without Sean McVay isn't very good. That's just the truth, right? I mean, he didn't even know how to read defenses when he first came in the league. Sean McVay, he doesn't know how to audible. Sean McVay tells him all the plays. He's very much a game manager. He's the definition of a game manager. So, I mean, here's the thing: if you're Jared Goff, name me a better situation than one that is tailor-made for you, where the coach is literally going to help you, in game or on the field, off the field, cater to you and to your every need. So I don't know. I don't know the nuances of the situation, but I just think it's pretty one-sided. And I think that Jared Goff should kind of just ease up and listen to his coach.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think obviously the biggest issue is his contract, right? Getting $30 million a year, and they don't have a potential out for the next 2 years, so they're tied to him. So they have to stick with him. And I know I'll really want to hear what you guys have to say after this, but I think if Cooper Kupp was there, I mean, they played a great game against the Packers. I think they kept it close, and I'm not saying that they're going to be able to make the Super Bowl next year, but you got to retool this offseason, and we've seen game-managing quarterbacks make it to the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo is a perfect case. This season, Baker Mayfield, he's a game-manager quarterback, and they almost beat the Chiefs. So I think you got to run it back next season, and because you're tied to him, you have to keep adding talent around him, add talent to the defense, and hopefully that defense will carry you to a Super Bowl.
Jake?
It's a real shame that Jared Goff's historically over-exceeding contract doesn't even kick in until next season, so they are as stuck as it gets. And I don't think Jared Goff is that bad, but here's what happens when you have a young quarterback. When you have I think Lamar Jackson's bad.
Oh, be quiet, Baker Mayfield stan.
Okay, no. So here's what happens when you have a 23, 24-year-old second-year quarterback third-year quarterback making the Super Bowl with a great defense, game manager plus, because that's really what Jared Goff was in 2018. He had a really good year.
Huge arm, by the way.
What?
So with a huge arm. Continue, though.
But
he's a game manager with a huge arm.
You have to keep him, right? You don't necessarily have your hands tied, but you have to keep this guy. Just like the Browns are going to have to keep Baker Mayfield, just like the Ravens are going to have to keep Lamar Jackson in 1 or 2 years. The Rams needed to extend Jared Goff. They gave him a crap ton of money, but he is the middle of a franchise, where he is a franchise quarterback, but he is the middle of an elite franchise quarterback and just a tier or two below what Matthew Stafford was for 12 seasons. That's kind of what Jared Goff is. Now, Jared Goff isn't terrible. Jared Goff can sling the ball. Now, Max said, he can't make reads, and obviously he is a huge help. But Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl behind a great defense and a great coach and a good offensive line. Jared Goff can do the same. He went to the Super Bowl when everything went right. Obviously, he got that call against the Saints, but everything went right. And then they put up 9 points in the Super Bowl, which were 3 points in the Super Bowl, which kind of sucked. But yeah, you have to run it back with Jared Goff. You have no choice because there is no out. It would be $68.5 million of dead cap if they cut him right now or traded him, which is practically the entire contract because only $68 million of the $140 million he got over 4 seasons was guaranteed. So in that sense, the contract isn't even that bad because just over half the money. Less than half the money is guaranteed. So they're gonna have an out in 2 years. That's probably when Jared Goff will get the cut. But right now, you have to run it back for at least 2 seasons because their defense is good. Their offensive line is still playing well. But I don't think Jared Goff is like a bottom 10 quarterback.
He's not big.
What? No.
I'm messing. We do this all the time.
Jared Goff is probably the 15th or 16th best quarterback in football right now.
Sure. I think that's fair. Yeah, I agree.
But listen, here's what I'm going to say, right? The Rams are tied. They are tied. The Rams are tied. Les Snead and Sean McVay. Let's face it, they've got to mend the relationship with Jared Goff, right? They have to. They traded all their. I don't think they have a first round pick until 2027, right? If I'm not correct on that.
2027.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they traded away all their first round picks. They traded away 2 first round picks in the Jalen Ramsey trade.
I don't think you can even trade picks in 2025, 2026 yet.
Yeah, I don't think you can trade that ahead.
Somebody fact check me on that. Make sure I'm correct or see if I'm correct or not. I know they don't have any first round. They didn't have any first round picks because of didn't they trade a first round pick to I could be wrong about to New England when they first traded for Brandon Cooks. Didn't they give up a first round pick?
They swapped the first round pick, but I think that
the Rams have a first round pick next year.
Yeah,
it's be their first time having a first round pick in quite some time.
Yeah, since 2018.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 101 way to get fired. Yeah. So listen, I think it's important that the Rams smarten up. They stop mortgaging off their future, but I understand why they kind of felt like they were in that window in which they were in a championship window, and some may say they still are, but I just think that you're kind of tied to Jared Goff. I mean, who right now? Let's think about it. Let's play a little GM or front office. Who right now can the Rams realistically go out and get that is that much of an upgrade over Jared Goff?
Jameis Winston. Sorry.
Upgrade?
I'm kidding.
I mean, they can go after Deshaun Watson, but I don't think that's going to be very successful.
I mean, if you look in contract too, I mean, you got guys coming up, right? I mean, you got guys that you need to pay in the future. Things of that nature. They just gave Jalen Ramsey a big contract, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't yet. They haven't given.
They gave him. Or they gave him one. They already gave him one.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Sorry, I saw Daniel shaking his head. I thought I was wrong for a second.
No.
No. I just think it's very, very important that they start wising up and they start running their football team as an actual, like very smart instead of just trading off first round picks to add a premier talent list. And I think the word of Jalen Ramsey, but to go out there and trade 2 first round picks for him, I thought that was me and Jamie. We did a show when that first happened where I was really questioning that.
I do that. He's the best corner in football. I wouldn't.
I think for Ramsey it's worth it, but like if you look at the 2 first round picks, especially Jamal Adams, like that's definitely his impact is as great as
Jamal Adams.
I think Ramsey's definitely. I think he's worth it though. A shutdown cornerback, top 2 in the league, like almost every year.
Oh, he's definitely worth it. Jamal Adams isn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trade a second round pick for Jamal Adams.
I never said Jamal Adams was. I just I always struggle with just giving up a boatload of picks for a corner or someone that's not a quarterback or. I don't know. That's just me though.
Well, think about it this way: Stephon Gilmore, Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander. I'm forgetting 1 or 2. But Tre'Davious White. Those are the top 4 corners in the league. They all were drafted in the first round. So you would need to spend a first round pick if you want to get a premium corner. And now Jalen Ramsey in his prime, you probably should add an extra first round pick. Now the top safeties in the league. I don't think any of them were drafted in the first round, maybe besides Jamal Adams, who's not even a top 5 safety in the league. So corners are premium. Safeties you can get on day 2 of the draft.
Thanks for the history lesson, Jake. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
No. I mean, all things considered, I think that's completely fair value. Like, of course, I would be reluctant.
That's just my philosophy, though. That's just my philosophy.
No, and I understand because look, I feel I would be reluctant in giving up a lot of first round picks for a non-quarterback too. I understand that, but it's just like you're getting a guy in Jalen Ramsey, who, in my opinion, again, is the best corner in football, and he's at such a young age. I mean, you're gonna have to give up a little bit,
Mm-hmm. So, guys, we're going to switch topics here. We can all agree that the Rams have to mend their relationship with Jared Goff. That's the next logical step. It's the only step, to be quite honest with you. I want to keep it going, though. The next question I want to pose, guys, is what's next for the Baltimore Ravens? The next topic is what's next for the Baltimore Ravens? What is next for the Baltimore Ravens? We bring that up as a topic because the Baltimore Ravens falter to the Buffalo Bills. And I know some people were saying that some people I know, nobody on the show, actually. I'm not actually kidding when I say that, but some people I know were really thought the Ravens were going to pull this one off, and I'll say it again. I'll say it again. And I know Jake has very strong opinions about Lamar Jackson. I'll say this: I do not think that their offense, the way it is currently constructed, I think people have figured it out to an extent. I think that they are always going to be a very competitive regular season team. When it comes down to actually playing for championships, let's talk about it. Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, has not progressed as a passer since he's been in the league completely. I mean, maybe from year 1 actually. But his second year, he got better, but a large part of it, a lot of things he did was a lot of damage on the ground to a lot of teams. He still was the MVP last season. I'm not discrediting him. He's a phenomenal player. But in terms of what you need to win in the National Football League, you need a guy. You need a quarterback at some point in time. So, Jake, I want to get your opinion. I want to let you talk on this one. What's next for the Baltimore Ravens? What's next for the Baltimore Ravens?
What's next for the Baltimore Ravens is they're going to have to figure out, okay, we have this guy who's very, very good, right? He's a top 7 quarterback in football. He won an MVP. We think he can win a Super Bowl for us. Mm-hmm. Not many other people do, but internally they think that they can win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. Now,
yeah.
On my side, I said 2 years ago that this guy will never win a Super Bowl. Like that, I am on the record of saying that Lamar Jackson will never win a Super Bowl in the National Football League, and most of you probably know why. But for the Ravens, Lamar has had one amazing year. In 2019, Lamar Jackson had one of the top 10 all-time greatest seasons for a quarterback we've ever seen. That's a statistical fact.
from a player, right?
From a player or a quarterback. Like he was phenomenal last year. He was good in the second half of 2018 when he took over for Joe Flacco. He was bad in the playoffs. He was bad in the playoffs last year. He was bad in the playoffs this year too. So now year 4, they're gonna accept his 5th year option, of course, in this offseason. So he'll have that 5th year. Now, 4th year, that's coming up for Lamar Jackson. It's coming up for Baker Mayfield. It's coming up for Josh Allen. So this season is huge for Lamar because now it's kind of going to dictate how much money we're going to have to pay this guy. So if Lamar Jackson goes back to 80% of what he was in 2019, we're talking Deshaun Watson money. Maybe not Patrick Mahomes money because he doesn't have a Super Bowl. Now there's Deshaun Watson.
Let me stop you right now, Jake. Let me stop you right now. I'm sorry. I really want to get to this comment real quick. Somebody said you should sign Allen Robinson. Listen, no top tier receiver is going to say, "Hey, I want to go here." No top tier receiver is going to say, "Hey, I'm in the prime of my career. I'm going to go to the Baltimore Ravens where they, they run, and they pass the tight ends most of the time. Like nobody's going to do that. Allen Robinson would be if you think Allen Robinson's unhappy now, he'd be unhappy in Baltimore. And I'm not trying to say he won't be. They wouldn't win. They'd obviously because I'll say it again. They're always going to be a competitive regular season team. But we got to be careful when we just throw out receivers and stuff like that. You have to think about it from the receiver's shoes. What do they get out of it? Do you think people just want to literally be out there and running routes?
Right. That's not the fix. And a lot of people confuse that because they say, "Oh, just give him more receivers." Well, that's not really how it works because you still have Lamar Jackson who can't go from read 2 to read 3. We saw that in the Bills game when he stared down Mark Andrews in the end zone and threw it to a corner who was in a mid-read the entire play. It's the easiest read a quarterback should make, that play that he threw to Tyron Johnson. So receivers don't help Lamar Jackson. Obviously, adding Allen Robinson would help him, but it doesn't make them like that's not a huge upgrade because Marquise Brown, who has had problems with drops, but Marquise Brown has been a good receiver since he came in the league. He burned Tre'Davious White like 5 times on Saturday. That's an all-pro corner right there who consistently beat Tre'Davious White for the entirety of 60 minutes. And even on the throws where Marquise Brown did burn him, Lamar still made poor throws.
Yeah.
So that's
let me interject here, right? I mean, I don't disagree. I think Lamar Jackson obviously needs to improve as a thrower, or else he's too one-dimensional, and that's not going to breed any success in the playoffs. I don't disagree with any of that, but I do think that Hollywood Brown isn't the answer. I think he's undersized. I do think he's a speedster. I think he's an overrated route runner. I don't think of him as a wide receiver 1. I do think he's a very good receiver 2 or 3, but I don't think he's a very good wide receiver 1. I don't think he has the makings of that in the league. So, and to Malik's point, they're not going to go out and sign a guy like Allen Robinson because it's not an appealing destination when you have a quarterback that doesn't like to throw the football. So you got to draft a wide receiver. You got to hope that Jalen Waddle falls. You got to hope that maybe you can snag a guy at that pick because they're going to have a late first rounder, or they may even trade up to the middle of the first round to maybe solidify getting a receiver. But you got to get a big body receiver because that's going to help Lamar Jackson gain some confidence throwing the ball downfield.
Max, I want to say something to you real quickly. And I really want people to. I want to paint a picture for people. Have any of you guys watched high school football?
Mm-hmm.
You guys been to high school football games, right? Have you ever had that one quarterback that wasn't necessarily? And let me say this really quickly because if we have Ravens fans watching, I don't want you to think I'm disrespecting Lamar. Lamar is a quarterback. I'm not saying he's a running back. He is a quarterback in the National Football League. I respect him for his passing ability. But do you remember that one athlete? He wasn't necessarily the best quarterback, but their offense was so predicated around his strengths in high school.
Of course.
The reason why I bring that up, right, is because my brother, right, he played high school football and he was undersized. He was 5'10". He broke a lot of records, but he was super fast. And literally the coach, they ran the entire offense through my brother because of his ability for the read option, his ability to run quarterback draws. He was like a running back playing quarterback, literally. Not saying Lamar's a running back. I'm just using him as an example. To me, this offense is so built around to me, this offense is so built around Lamar Jackson's skill set. It's so built around Lamar Jackson's skill set, almost to the point that when you see him go down or something like that, they can't function. They can't function because even though Lamar Jackson is a premier talent and stuff like that, you can't and you got other guys who you try to get guys like who are his backup quarterbacks that sort of fit that mold. They aren't Lamar Jackson. They aren't Lamar Jackson. So when Lamar Jackson goes out, like we saw in the Buffalo Bills game, or we saw when Trace McSorley had to come in. By the way, Trace McSorley did a great job for what he could do against the Steelers early in the season. They're not Lamar Jackson, so they're not able to, they don't have that necessarily athletic ability to break a bunch of tackles and have that dynamic speed set. So I just think it's important. I'm not questioning the Baltimore Ravens or Lamar Jackson. I'm questioning Greg Roman, right? I'm questioning his long-term fit for the Baltimore Ravens as well. I know they're good in the regular, but this guy seems like when the postseason starts, he just sort of just loses it. And that's a false report. That Allen Robinson hasn't even begun to talk about teams or anything of that nature. From what I heard, he was interested in going to the Packers. We'll find out how true that all is. But everything right now that you hear right now is speculation. So anyway, you can throw that report away. So I'm just very curious to see what the Baltimore Ravens do about the Greg Roman situation. I mean, obviously you got to keep him on as your offense coordinator because he's done great things, but his offense tends to go missing in the playoffs. But Danny, you were raising your hand. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's kind of sad because I mean, I'm trying to picture what can they physically do to improve, right? I want to see this team. I want to see Lamar Jackson make a Super Bowl. I want to see him succeed. But the reality is, as we've all talked about it just doesn't seem like this play style is going to work. And the biggest thing you touched on, Greg Roman, every one of their backup quarterbacks, we saw Tyler Huntley. It's all built around the run. They want players just like Lamar Jackson. And it works in the regular season, as Malik said. But once you get to the postseason, it doesn't work. So honestly, I don't really know what the solution is. You got to go out, maybe add some talent, a receiver, or maybe emphasize the defense.
Shore up the offensive line. I mean, since Marshall Yonder retired, the interior offensive line sucks. The guy Tyree Phillips that they had starting at guard, awful, god awful. Their center, awful. So I think that they definitely, if I was them, I'd go out and pick up a Wyatt Davis or a Deontay Brown and shore up the interior of that offensive line. True. Like I would actually put an emphasis on that.
Yeah, but I think you do that in the later rounds. I think you got to go receiver early. You got to get a playmaker for him, someone he's confident, not named Mark Andrews. Because Hollywood Brown is not the answer.
And Des Bryant is not the answer either.
No, he's not. Even if that is the case, though, like, is that changing much? Like,
I think it does.
Actually going to use what is it going to change? That's
what I'm saying. Games in the trenches.
Here's my argument. And again, this is all speculation. We haven't seen it yet. Yeah. But there's a reason why he only throws to Mark Andrews is because Mark Andrews gets open. Mark Andrews is a big target, and he's easy to throw to, right? Hollywood Brown doesn't have those physical advantages. Yeah, he has speed, but he's an overrated route runner. And he's undersized. You give Lamar Jackson a tall receiver that's a good route runner and has the talent to be a wide receiver one, like a Jalen Waddle. I think I'm not saying that, this guy's going to go and throw for, a million or like 5,000 yards or whatever, but I do think that he would be a lot more confident in slinging the ball down the field because he has a playmaker to throw to, not named Mark Andrews.
I genuinely think the issues lie within Lamar Jackson. I genuinely do. I think it's easy to be like, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing, Max, at all. I'm not at all, but it's a very real conversation that we're having, right? I mean, I just think that not enough emphasis is being put on Lamar Jackson's shortcomings as a passer, and it's easy to point to Hollywood Brown or whatever the case was, but the guy literally does not like throwing outside the numbers. He loves throwing in the middle of the field to Mark Andrews because it's where he's comfortable. The tight end is the quarterback's best friend, so I'm not sure if getting a big body receiver out there.
My argument is. Making the assumption he's going to improve as a passer. That's obvious he has to do that. And I'm not disagreeing.
I don't think he is.
But I'm just saying part of the progression in a passer or in him being a passer is by giving him weapons he's confident in throwing to. That's part of the progression. I'm not saying that it's going to work magic overnight. But what I'm saying is by getting a big receiver that's a good route runner, that's a wide receiver one, you're giving him the confidence to at least attempt to better his passing in game. Get that confidence going, which – we'll see how successful that is. Obviously, it's up to him to develop that, but I think you have to put him in a position to be confident in doing so, and I don't think he's there right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Max. I mean, if you think about it, like Josh Allen last season, obviously he wasn't as bad as Lamar is at passing, but Josh Allen, he wasn't very accurate. He wasn't very strong in the pocket. He just made a lot of bonehead plays, like a lot of fluke plays. He was missing players down the field. And of course, he makes this huge offseason leap. But on the other hand, they also traded for Stephon Diggs, right? They gave him a good wide receiver one, probably top 5 in the league. He bonded with him chemistry wise, and he kind of opened up the offense. Now, I'm not sure if it'll work for the Ravens, but I definitely think it's something that they should try. Hopefully that should help like Lamar developed the passing attributes. I'm not sure if it would work like it did for Josh Allen, but who knows? He could take that leap, and I think he has a good shot at it.
It'll be interesting to see. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah. I'm just going to disagree. I'm not comparing Josh Allen to Lamar Jackson whatsoever. I can't. What we saw out of Josh Allen in his second year, we saw potential. We saw his ability to drive his team down, play or drive after drive after drive. His biggest issue was his short-term accuracy, but he's not missing guys like Lamar Jackson missing. Josh Allen has always had the ability to drive his team down the field without a run game. Everything about this Lamar Jackson Ravens team is based on his run game. In the playoffs, he missed wide open guys. And I'm sorry, in your third NFL season, after winning the MVP, after he was supposedly one of the best passers in the league in his MVP season, that's not going to cut it. And I'm sorry. I hope that he improves. The only way he can really improve is you shore up the offensive line or you go get another big body receiver. But himself, I don't see him improving as a passer. I don't see him making the huge leap as a passer.
So you're saying a big body receiver would mask his flaws, essentially?
I don't know if there's a way to mask his flaws. I really don't, and I don't think so. But
yeah, exactly. You got to try. There you go. That's
I respect it. So Lamar Jackson, essentially, you're not an elevator or talent elevates you. Gotcha. Anyway, want to keep the conversation.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I just kind of want to paint. I'll use your saying and kind of paint a picture of kind of what going forward this might look like for Baltimore. So, like I said earlier, Baltimore needs to figure out, okay, how much money are we gonna have to pay this guy? Because we can't let him walk, right? Like, how much money are we really gonna pay this guy? So I would say yes, draft a receiver in the first round 100%. I would look at either Rashad Bateman. He'll probably be there in the early 20s. Jalen Waddle might. I think he could potentially fall depending on where the first dice gets rolled, whether it's Chase or Smith, whether it's bottom of the top 10 or the top of the top 10. So let's say that they get Rashad Bateman. Okay, Lamar, here's a fancy new toy. Now you have 3 good receivers, including Mark Andrews, that you can throw to. Now, so again, the fourth year is a huge year for him. It's going to be huge for Baker Mayfield too. So here, Lamar, here are some new weapons. And this year, losing Ronnie Stanley and losing Marshall Yonder for any quarterback, losing your top 2 offensive linemen for any quarterback sucks. And that sucks for Lamar losing those guys. His play decreased because of that. So here, Lamar, here are some new toys. Let's see how you do.
Here's one thing. Last thing I'm going to say about the situation. I know we said we were going to move on, but I don't think Lamar or any of the Ravens fans actually understand how lucky he got getting drafted to the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of teams would not have done what the Baltimore Ravens did. The Baltimore Ravens literally ripped up everything and said, we're going to literally build this offense around him.
Greg Roman's not even that good.
Right. We're literally going to build it around your skill sets. We're going to read option heavy. We're going to, make everything, option based, so to speak. And so the next destination, not saying the Baltimore Ravens is going to get rid of him. He might not be so fortunate. Think about it. If Lamar Jackson didn't land in Buffalo,
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yeah. I had a brain lapse just now, guys. Sorry. I'm due an occasional one once a month. No, but if Lamar Jackson wasn't fortunate enough to land in Baltimore with Greg Roman, with a team that was willing to shore up, sort of build the offense around him, where would he be right now? Because a lot of teams would have been like, you know what? Remember when the Baltimore Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson, they thought they were reinventing the quarterback position. They were like, a lot of teams go out there and they look for their next Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. I remember John Harbaugh saying this, and I quote, but we decided that we're going to, do it our way. We're not going to look for our next Tom Brady and Drew Brees or whatever, blah, blah, blah. We're going to find our quarterback. We're going to find a Lamar Jackson. The first, why we're not going to make him into that. We're going to make him the first Lamar Jackson. So when they did that, I felt that they were being prideful about it. I thought that they saw themselves as reinventing the wheel. And right now it's kind of showing. Particularly in the playoffs. But I want to keep the conversation going. Guys, what are we expecting in the AFC Championship game? Who will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year? Like that's our next topic. Is it going to be the Buffalo Bills, or is it going to be Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? And I say Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because this entire Patrick Mahomes thing is super sketchy to me, in my opinion. Super sketchy. The whole concussion thing, I just don't. Everybody's being super hush about it, and he didn't actually get a concussion, so why is he getting a concussion protocol? You've seen so many varying reports out there today. To me, this just, as Brett Favre says, this is going to test the NFL's seriousness about player safety and see if they're serious about actually protecting players from themselves. I just don't know if this, like, the way he got up, it seemed like he had a concussion. It seemed like he was.
I think he definitely did.
So to me, this doesn't feel right. To me, this feels like the team masking something, and I personally don't like it too much.
Yeah, I'll jump in, and it's weird, right? Because they obviously know that it's Mahomes or bust. If Mahomes doesn't play, the Buffalo Bills are winning this game.
Right.
My whole thought process around this game is it's going to be a shootout because the Buffalo Bills haven't run the ball in the postseason. Last game they had 2 yards per carry, and it's going to be all Josh Allen. It's going to be all gunslinging for the Buffalo Bills. It's scary because if Patrick Mahomes plays, I'm sorry, the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, even though they won the past 2 games against the Colts, he almost blew it. He had a missed interception that should have been caught, and he had a fumble that should have been recovered. Against the Ravens, Lamar Jackson got hurt. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have won the game, but Josh Allen didn't look great. He missed guys. Granted, it was windy there, but it's all going to come down to can Josh Allen not make any mistakes, and I'm not confident in that.
I couldn't agree more. The Chiefs. So the Chiefs are 3-point favorites right now, and for Vegas, then that means Vegas that Vegas thinks they're even because you get 3 points if you're the home team, which is completely disrespectful to a Chiefs team that I've been lower on over the last couple of weeks because they just haven't had it. But I thought Mahomes played really well. That game was never really in doubt when Mahomes was on the field. Like Cleveland could have gotten a stop here and there to make it interesting, but Cleveland controlled the game. Playing an Arrowhead is such a huge advantage. And this is 2 straight games where Buffalo has made key mistakes. The first game they got dominated. I think they kind of just got lucky in the second half. But then the game against Baltimore, obviously Lamar goes down, but they didn't have any offense. They scored 10 offensive points. So, and Malik and a couple of you guys said last week that the Browns can kind of take advantage of the Chiefs' defensive flaws. They don't have any linebackers. Their pass rush has been suspect this year. But we were talking about this last year. And for whatever reason last year, when the playoffs came, the Chiefs' defense just became monsters. Like, this isn't a top 10 unit in football, but when the lights are on in the most important part, I always say this for the last 12 months, the Chiefs have just played clutch defense down the stretch. They did it against Cleveland. And there should be no reason why they don't do it against Buffalo. I'm riding with the Chiefs. And gambling, man, I'm taking the -3 as well.
Max.
I love the Buffalo Bills to make it to the Super Bowl, guys.
Wow.
I love it. Can I tell you why? So, look, I agree. A healthy Mahomes is going to change everything. I'm assuming Mahomes is going to play. I don't think he'll be 100%. And I do think that even if he's not 100%, I do think the Chiefs are the better football team. They're the Super Bowl champions for a reason. But I just think that while I agree with what Jake was saying with regard to the defense, for the Chiefs, playing up playing their best football in the postseason, I just don't think they can handle Buffalo's offense. I just don't think they can contain it. I just think they are the hottest team in football for a reason. I think that while I don't think they're better than the Chiefs, they certainly have been playing much better than the Chiefs as of late.
They have.
And I'm just going to ride the momentum until it fails me. So I'm going to take Buffalo to win in a close one. And I like them outright. Honestly, I think they just don't have an answer for Stephon Diggs, and the way that Josh Allen is playing, I think he's going to have the best game of his postseason career.
Rishi.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Daniel more about, Josh Allen. He hasn't looked as sharp in these past 2 games, both playoff games. He had the fumble against the Colts. Obviously, that was huge. And even last year in the Texans game, like he tends to have like these lapses where he just makes some like bonehead plays, right? And I thought he'd get rid of them, right, with everything that we saw over the regular season. And then he starts dropping back 20, 25 yards in a Colts game where he could have easily just thrown the ball away. And I think, like Jake mentioned about the Chiefs defense, right, they're going to force him into a lot of tough positions. And I'm not sure if I trust Josh Allen to not make those mistakes again, right? I don't think I've seen it enough. I thought I did through the regular season. But, of course, really we haven't. In the Colts game, a dropped pick and, of course, the fumble that wasn't recovered, that would have completely changed the game. And, they quite frankly wouldn't be here right now. So I'm not sure if I can trust Josh Allen enough. And I think if Mahomes plays, then I think the Chiefs have it.
Daniel, you want to just respond?
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say too much. Listen, I've been the biggest Bills supporter all year long, right? Before the season, I said they were gonna win the division.
We know.
We know. Josh Allen, he's MVP candidate this year. He's played out of his mind. But the reality is we're comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. That's what we're doing. I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm not saying he's not clutch. I'm not saying he's not a great quarterback. He's a great quarterback. He's a star right now. But when I'm comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, I have to go with somebody who has more flaws. And I've seen more flaws out of Josh Allen. And to Max's point, you said riding the momentum. What momentum? They won 2 games, yes. But the reality is Josh Allen in this offense, how are you confident in them after last game? Stephon Diggs is the number one thing. Stephon Diggs he's looked spectacular. But the reality is when it comes down to it, we saw last year, Patrick Mahomes in the 4th quarter against the Texans
Daniel.
I'm not betting. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
I don't disagree, and I think it's a safe bet most times. But they are on a 12-game winning streak, and we saw it with the Browns, right? Even before Mahomes got hurt, they were getting pressure. They were getting at Mahomes. They were taking him to the ground. They were pressuring Mahomes. Look, the way to beat Mahomes is not to drop back because Mahomes is such a dynamic playmaker. He's going to find guys open, and he has so many weapons all over the place. It's by putting him in situations where he has to rush the throw, where he might have to scramble, and by getting pressure at the quarterback. And you cannot sleep on Buffalo's defense. Buffalo has a top 3 corner in the league. Buffalo has a very respectable pass rush and very good.
I love their safety duo. I love their safety duo.
Their safety duo. Oh yeah, don't even get me started on the safety duo.
Trey Edmonds.
Again, I don't think you're wrong by taking Mahomes. I think it's certainly the safer pick. I'm just riding momentum until it fails me, and I like them. We saw it with Cleveland. I like them getting pressure at Mahomes, especially if he's not 100%.
All I'm going to say is one more thing. You talked about the pass rush. It's inconsistent. I love their secondary. Their safety duo is great. Tre'Davious White is great. But their pass rush is inconsistent. And I hate to tell you, right? They got 0 sacks against Philip Rivers. 0. And against Lamar Jackson, they got 3.
The Colts also have one of the best.
The Colts have exactly.
Yeah, but against Lamar Jackson had time to throw. He was only sacked 3 times. He had time to throw. I hate to tell you.
Lamar Jackson is to drop back.
What?
The way you scheme against Lamar Jackson is to drop back. He's not
a lot. But still, no, you have to get pressure on the quarterback. In the Bills pass rush, I'm not confident in.
So I'm gonna say this.
Three sacks is a lot.
Yeah,
that is a lot.
They also got
let me just say this. I've been quiet, Daniel. I've been quiet. Let me jump in for a second. Listen. To me, the NFL, right? Listen, the one thing I love about playoff football, it's not about the best team necessarily when it gets down to playoff football. It comes down to, number 1, who's the healthiest. And as Max said, momentum. I had the Chiefs representing the AFC in the playoffs. I really did. And I say did in past tense because Patrick Mahomes' concussion thing scares me. It actually legitimately scares me. And I can already see the excuses being made up, and they could be perfectly justified. He wasn't 100%. They saying he got an injury to his foot now as well. I don't know. Something about this Buffalo Bills team just seems like it's dialed in. Brian Daboll, their hot offensive coordinator, he was being pegged for all these head coaching jobs and all this stuff like that. He says, nah, he didn't get the job he wanted. I'm staying right here in Buffalo. Everybody's dialed in. Leslie Frazier, right? Leslie Frazier has been interviewing for head coaching jobs too. Their star-studded defensive coordinator. He's dialed in. Their head coach, Sean McDermott, defensive man, he's dialed in. Something about this Buffalo team just screams an upset to me. And I'm not saying, right, because I can make the argument. I can genuinely, actually make the argument from a roster construction standpoint, not from a coaching standpoint, from a roster construction standpoint. I can make the argument that the Buffalo Bills have the better roster. I truly can make that. And it wouldn't be wrong. It wouldn't be wrong. They have the corners. They have the linebackers. I love Matt Milano and Edmonds. I love them together. I love the corners. I love the safety duo. I love Ed Oliver. Love him coming out of the draft. This game to me is very, very intriguing. It's very, very interesting too. It would not shock me either way. I'm not even comfortable making a prediction. That's why when I bet on FanDuel this week, I'm going to put money down on both teams. Make the Super Bowl because I'm not taking any. When I say putting money down, I'm talking about to make the Super Bowl. Like I'm making my predictions that way. But anyway, I think that the Buffalo Bills can do it, man. I think the Buffalo Bills can pull it off. And I think the Buffalo Bills can shock a lot of teams. Listen, it's about who gets hot. The 2 times the Giants won the Super Bowl, trust me, living in Jersey, having a house 10 minutes from. Listen, let me tell you something. It's about getting hot at the right time, right? They beat a scorching hot Patriots team. They beat a Cowboys team that beat them twice in the regular season. So it's about who's healthy and it's about who's hot at the right time. It would not shock me one bit if Patrick Mahomes wasn't healthy coming into this game. I genuinely don't think he is.
And can I say one thing as well? They remind me so much of the Atlanta Falcons the year they made the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Think about it. Hot offensive coordinator that's going to be a target for a head coach. And this is the time for them to peak. I think this is their peak. I'm not saying they won't be a good team next year. I just don't think.
Oh, by the way, this is the best. This is the best. I think this is the best we're going to see.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is the year. The writing is on the wall. I think Kansas City will dominate for the rest, or they'll be better for a lot longer. But I just think that this is the year for the Bills to make it to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they'll win, but I think this is the year for them to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And every year you get those teams that just go on these hot streaks. We saw it with the Rams.
12-game winning streak.
12-game
winning. Just put that into perspective.
Listen, it's not about if they're impressive or not. It's finding creative ways to win. It's finding ways to win. That's the best thing about playoff football, guys, that I just absolutely love. It's about finding creative ways to win. It could be gritty. It could be ugly. Playoffs football is never sexy. Playoff football is not meant to be sexy. It's about hard hitting, hard nose. This is what it's about. It's about finding creative ways to win, regardless of the circumstances. And to me, the Chiefs are going to be in a dogfight. But I want to keep it going. Listen, NFC Championship game coming up. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady is the first time these two are squaring off in the postseason. I got one simple question, and I'm going to pose it to Rishi, actually.
All right.
I already know Jake's going to come out with the heat. I got one simple question. Who's going to outduel the other?
Rodgers, and I don't think there's much that could make me
say that for me one more time.
Aaron Rodgers,
the best quarterback in the league, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right now, I think LaFleur is he's too good, right? He's an amazing schemer, and we saw it last week against the Rams. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Rams, number one defense in the NFL. They'll give Rodgers a shot for his money." Well, what do they come out and do? They do everything that the Rams struggle with. They come out in tempo, they run the ball heavy, run a lot of play action concepts, and they attack the weak points. And I think they're going to do the same for the Buccaneers. I don't think LaFleur is going to make the same mistake, and I think he's got lots of counters to what the Bucs are going to do. So, yeah, I think Rodgers is definitely going to outduel Brady.
Jake?
I wish we were on Zoom right now, because if we were on Zoom, I could change my background location, and I would have definitely just picked the GOAT in the background. Now, I wish for the 2 weeks that I was off the Bucks. I wish that just didn't exist, because then I could say, I've been on the Bucks since October.
We keep our receipts, just so you know. But continue.
No, it's not. Aaron Rodgers is not winning this game.
No,
Aaron Rodgers has been playing great football. But do you know who else has been playing great football? Who's been statistically the most efficient quarterback in football the last 6.5 weeks? It's been Thomas Brady. So, okay. I was on a show last night, and I kind of did the same thing. Talked about how, in October, I said that Tampa was the best team in football when people had them out of their top 7. And I'm like, no, I love this team because they have the weapons, they have the coach, they have the quarterback, and by God, they have the defense. Mm-hmm. And then for so long, they just didn't look like that. But now, ever since that second half of the Chiefs game, Tom Brady has thrown 1 interception to, I think, 17 touchdowns, something crazy like that. His touchdown to pick ratio since the second half of the Chiefs game has been ridiculous. They haven't lost since then, correct? I don't think they've lost since the Chiefs game. They're on a 6 or 7 game winning streak. Good for them. And they already torched the Packers team. I know it was a long time ago, but do you remember last year, Aaron Rodgers' worst performance of the year? It came against San Francisco. What did he do in the playoffs? Got creamed again by San Francisco. What was his worst performance this year? Against Tampa. What's going to happen? He's going to get crushed again by Tampa.
Right. Yeah. Look, Daniel. Max, go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to start by saying, if you watch the Sunday show, I made you some money. I told you my mortal lock was the Bucs money line. Okay. Mm-hmm. I knew I felt it in my gut. I felt that they were going to win that game, the revenge game. The writing was on the wall. So when I say this, I have a lot of respect for Brady and I have a lot of respect for the Bucs. And I'm not saying they can't get it done, but I just think the Packers might be the best team in the NFL right now. I think they're probably the hardest team to beat in the NFL. I think they're probably the best coach team in the NFL at this very moment, okay? I just think, and also the writing's on the wall for a revenge game, right? Jake said it himself. Aaron Rodgers had his worst game of the season against the Bucs, and so did the Packers as a team, 100% against the Bucs. Mm-hmm. Now they're at home in Lambeau Field, albeit limited fans. But I don't know if you guys watched that game on Saturday. They were loud.
Oh, Max.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
It's supposed to snow.
Even better. Yeah, Tom Brady doesn't like. Well, maybe I don't think they'll be tucked.
I don't know.
I don't know if they'll be tucked this time around for Tom Brady.
I think he's going to be okay.
But let me finish. So look, I just think, as much as I think the Tampa Bay run defense is respectable, their secondary is very suspect. Charleston Davis, I don't think Charleston Davis is the guy. Maybe in a few years I might regret saying that, but I just don't think he's the guy. I think that secondary is very suspect. Antoine Winfield didn't have the best. I mean, I know he had a decent game.
Don't talk about my dog. Don't talk
about
him. He balled out. He balled out against the Saints.
Very up and down. He's been very up and down. Okay, he's been very up and down. But he has been very up and down. But anyways, point is the secondary I can't really trust. And against the hottest quarterback, probably the best quarterback in the league right now, with one of the probably the best wide receiver in the league right now in Devontae Adams, I just don't trust that secondary to contain the Packers, and I just think the Packers win a really close game.
Yeah, it's going to be a shootout, right? Even though it's going to be cold, even though it's going to be snowy, it's going to be a shootout. And the biggest thing is
Jake.
What?
I'm talking to Jake.
It's who's going to make the mistake? Tom Brady's played excellent football over the past 6 weeks. They're on a 7-game win streak. And the biggest thing is he hasn't made mistakes. Against the Saints, he let Drew Brees make the mistakes, throw the interceptions. They let the Saints offense make the mistakes. And obviously you're going up against the Packers who have Aaron Rodgers, who tends to make very few mistakes. But this Bucs offense is hot. And even though it's going to snow, the Bucs run game, it's good. Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, they both combined for, I believe, 140 yards against the Saints. The Saints have a top 5 rushing defense in the league, and the Packers sure as hell do not. So I'm willing to bet on Tom Brady, the GOAT, to win this game with their run game and with the pass game. The Packers defense is not going to be able to stop the Buccaneers offense because the Saints, they couldn't. And if the Saints couldn't,
Who are you taking in a game in the trenches? If it comes down to the running game, who are you taking? The Packers or the Bucs?
Well, it's not just about the trenches, but the Buccaneers' run game is going to be great. It's going to rival that of the Packers'
run game. You know, the Packers have a 3-headed monster. Packers have, in my opinion, the best committee in the entirety of the NFL. And I think, while I said I do think the secondary is suspect for Tampa Bay, and I think that's where the Packers can capitalize, the bulk of their offense is from their run game because they get themselves in play action situations. And we saw it against the Rams, against the best defense in the league. They were able to run the ball down their throats, right? Who's to say they can't do that against Tampa Bay? And I know that Tampa Bay has a great run defense, but who's to say they can't do that? And then they put Aaron Rodgers in situations, play action situations. Their receivers are going to destroy that secondary. I just don't see it being likely that the Bucs win this game.
So Max, I've been pretty quiet on this one, and Aiden, I see you chomping I see you in the comment section. We see you, brother. We do. I'm going to address you for a second. I think you have a little bit of a Tom Brady love going on over there because he, obviously he was part of your beloved Patriots, and I totally respected it. I know you love Massachusetts, but it's not only about Tom Brady, right? I love the playoffs not only because it's about momentum. It's not only because it's about health. It's also about experience. Experience plays a huge factor when we get in the playoffs. Experience plays a huge factor in the playoffs, and although Tom Brady has been there before, his Buccaneers team filled with a lot of young players.
Has anyone on the Packers been in the conference championship other than last year? Tiari was the only one left on the Super Bowl team.
I'm not even talking about a conference championship. I'm talking about, first of all, listen, all the pressure coming into this game, let's talk about it. It's on the Buccaneers. It's on the Buccaneers. Why? Because
right now,
Daniel, I let you talk.
Yeah, I'll let you talk.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyway, so where's the Super Bowl being hosted this year, guys?
Raymond James Stadium.
Right, in Tampa Bay, right? So, I mean, judging back even from the offseason when they first acquired Tom Brady, the players were yapping, saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, blah, 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 blah. And listen, I'm not here to discredit that. I'm just saying, though, the pressure is on them, right? I mean, this is something that they want to do. I'm not going to even make it about Brady and Rodgers right now. That's not what I'm going to make. That's not what I'm going to make it about. I'm not going to do what you all did. What I'm going to say is Aaron Rodgers, to me, is playing like a man on a mission. He is playing literally like a man on a mission right now. And that mission seems like it will not be fulfilled unless he gets a Lombardi trophy. And let me tell you when this mission started. It has nothing to do with Brady. He could be playing the Saints. He could be playing the Seahawks. It has nothing to do with those guys. This mission started when the Green Bay Packers disrespected him and they drafted Jordan Love. He's out for blood. He's out to prove himself. He's out to prove that he is the best quarterback in the league, which is why we've seen Aaron Rodgers have a year quite like no other.
What a great decision that was too, huh?
Right, that was a great decision, right? But let me tell you something. Just something about Aaron Rodgers this year. I can't explain it. But you just see it around a quarterback at times when it's just having one of those magical years. It just feels like Green Bay is going to be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I just feel it. And honestly, I might have said it to you guys already, but if they do go to the Super Bowl, like I think they will, I have them winning it. I think I think Aaron Rodgers is playing pissed off. He's pissed off for greatness, and he's going to do whatever it takes in his power to prove to the Green Bay Packers, not to Tom Brady, not to Bruce Arians, not to you guys. I think this is a direct look to the Green Bay Packers organization saying, "You see what I did without a number one receiver, without a first round receiver? Did you see what I did?" So I don't know. I just feel really, really confident, and I could be off, but I'm going to go with my gut here. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to playing with a man like a man on fire right now, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do. I really am excited. But I want to keep the conversation going. Next topic, guys.
Wait, what?
That's not even fair.
A lot of topics we got to get into. So anyway, I want to talk about the mysterious case surrounding a certain coach.
We're gonna talk from the Super Bowl, and you're gonna cut us off, and now we're gonna talk about a head coach who's not even gonna get a head coaching job.
Absolutely.
Oh my word.
Absolutely. Is there an issue? No. Okay.
There is.
So,
We weren't done.
Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I like the floor is mine. You talked about having all the pressure being on Tampa. Meanwhile, on the other side, there's a quarterback who, when the pressure has been on him, he has not lived up to it. His last 3 conference championship games, he blew a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter to Seattle. He got blown out by Atlanta. He got blown out by San Francisco. So when the Super Bowl is at Aaron Rodgers' grasp, when he can see it, he has consistently underachieved for the last 8-9 years since he won that Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. Tom Brady has been in the AFC. Like, I have a friend who's a Patriots fan, and he's like, well, this is only the second time since I've been in 4th grade where my team is not playing on this weekend. Tom Brady has been here. He rarely loses on this weekend. He rarely loses in about 2 weeks too. I'll take Tom Brady. You can have Aaron Rodgers, but when the lights are on, when the pressure is on, and the pressure is on Aaron Rodgers more than Tom Brady, when the pressure is on, he does not deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I was just add on to that. The pressure, I believe it's on the Packers, right? Look, after last year, after they got absolutely embarrassed in the conference championship. Max, you're on mute. I don't know if you're trying to say something, but
I said how. I don't know how the pressure.
So if you get absolutely demolished, in the conference championship, and then the next season you have an MVP at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP. The MVP at quarterback, Matt LaFleur in his second year, everybody, right? Aaron Rodgers is out to prove himself. So this is the year, right? You have to make it. If you don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, what happens next year? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be able to replicate his MVP season? No. All the pressure right now is on the Green Bay Packers because
he has this whole
the Green Bay
he shouldn't have left the Patriots. Maybe Belichick.
They're in the conference championship.
No, listen, and again, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just saying, if you want to talk about the pressure, Malik said it, right? Tampa Bay Super Bowl. All the eyes are on Tom Brady. They're expecting him to win. They're not expecting the Packers to win, per se.
Who's not expecting the Packers to win?
Well, you said it yourself, right? This guy, he gets it done all the time, Tom Brady, right? He's always in the
money's on the Packers. They're the favorites.
No, I understand that, but because they're the better football team. But what I'm saying is the expectation from a lot of pundits and from people in our company is that Tom Brady's going to get it done because he's a more experienced quarterback.
You guys are literally proof. You guys are saying that the Packers are going to win.
Well, let's read the comment section. You tell me what they say. But what I'm saying is, look, Tom Brady, you guys said it. He has all the pressure to win because he's done it in the past. And that would make sense. And he's on a new team, right? He has and Tampa Bay has this expectation, or Tom Brady has this expectation to elevate Tampa Bay to a position they haven't been in almost 2 decades, right? Which is competing for a Super Bowl title. I understand. I'm not saying the Packers don't have any pressure. I understand they have pressure. And what you're saying is true. But what I'm saying is the Bucs definitely have the most amount of pressure because their window is smaller than that of the Packers.
That's completely false. Next year, the Buccaneers are in a better position than the Green Bay Packers.
Not if they lose Godwin. Not if Antonio Brown.
No.
They have Tyler Johnson. They have Von Miller. They're fine.
No,
I don't agree with that.
These are guys that are game changers that can help elevate Brady to competing for Super Bowl.
I'll take Antonio Brown, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and Mike Evans. I'll take that all day long. I don't need Chris Godwin.
Antonio Brown is not going to be on that team next year.
No, I don't think so either.
Antonio Brown signed a 12-week deal. He signed the first 12-week deal in the NFL history.
Where's he going to sign?
The retirement home? He has like 4 catches in the last month.
No, he does not.
Well,
Have you been watching the Buccaneers football?
Oh, wait, sorry. He scored at the start. My bad. He had 0 catches on Saturday, but still, he's done. Yeah. No more football for Antonio Brown.
At the end of the day, listen, we want to keep the topic going, guys.
Now we can talk about Eric Bieniemy.
We want to keep the topic going, guys. We have a lot more stuff to get into during the show. The good thing about football is we only have a few more days to figure out who was right and who was wrong. Max, I agree with you, my man. Though I think it'll be interesting next Monday. The show next Monday. I genuinely do. I just hope everybody shows up. Anyway, I want to keep it going to the next topic. I want to talk about Eric Bieniemy, and I want to run this clip from him for a second.
Sometimes professional sports have a tendency to think that it's all about the numbers and the egos. And sometimes I think people forget that we play a team game. This is what has made us special. Our guys are going to do whatever is needed to go out and win. Because when it's all said and done with, we talk about this each and every week. It's not about the numbers. Okay. It's about the alphabets. And the only 2 alphabets that matter in this industry is the W and the L. Whatever we have to do to get that W, that's all what matters. And then you know what? We're going to come back, put a game plan together for the following week, and we're going to get it going and get ready to go. Yes, ideally, we want all of our players to have all the success that they can. But we do know this. If we can do this together and do it for one another and do it the right way, okay, it'll give us a chance to go out and pursue the goals that we want to pursue.
I just wanted to run that clip really quickly. Because I don't know about you guys, that makes me want to run through a brick wall. It gets me motivated. It gets me pumped. Which brings me to my next topic. The mysterious case of Eric Bieniemy. Why isn't he in head coach right now? Why is he not? You see so many guys getting passed up over him. That's a genuine question, right? He's been a part of one of the most prolific offenses in NFL history with the Kansas City Chiefs. I have so many questions. And Richie, you've been pretty quiet, man. You've letting us yap. These guys got off the topic and started talking craziness. But I want to let you talk, my man. I want to let you jump in here. Why do you think Eric Bieniemy? I'm not going to say why, right? I'm going to ask you, what do you think is next for Eric Bieniemy, or why do you think he's not a head coach? I mean, I'll lay the question out like that.
Well, yeah. When I think about it, there's really, or from the reports that we're getting from the media, right? I think there's 2 major reasons why, or that I can think of, are the only reasons that he's not getting hired, right? And one of them is his interviews. Like maybe he's just not doing good at his interviews. Maybe he's not being able to convince whoever the general managers, the front office is of, he's going to be able to establish a culture, a winning culture. And, maybe he's just not impressive in interviews. And the second is the controversy that he's not calling plays for the Chiefs, right? Andy Reid is still calling the plays, and I don't necessarily agree with it, right? He's working with the scheme. He's been an offensive coordinator for a while now, and he's working in the passing scheme, right? So I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think a lot of NFL front offices could be seeing that and, marking that down like, okay, he's not necessarily calling the plays.
Reach, Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson, never call the plays.
Exactly. And yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the philosophy. If any NFL teams are really holding that he's not calling the plays, right? He's still in the scheme, and he has as much knowledge as anyone in that scheme, right? He's been in it for a long time. So when I think about it, those are really the only two possible arguments for why he's not being hired, right? Because he's got a great resume. He developed Patrick Mahomes, and he's been running a great offense for a long time now. So I can't really think of many other reasons as to why he's not hired yet.
Max, what do you think?
Well, I mean, who knows? I read about last year that part of the reason why he was snubbed was because he didn't do as well in interviews as people anticipated. But I mean, we saw it in that clip. I certainly think, again, we have to see. There's more to just being a motivator, but he's certainly a motivator, and I think he's a leader of men, and I think that shows in that clip. So I mean, it's honestly surprising that he's not a head coach at this point. I still hold out hope. I think he still will end up being a head coach for one of these two vacancies, whether it be the Eagles or the Texans. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer to the question is. I don't know what's next for Eric Bieniemy, because I think it's not right that I think he should at least get a shot somewhere. Even if it's an unfavorable situation like the Texans, it gives him the opportunity to shed his influence.
I just have a little bit of issue with it because, and I've talked with some friends of mine that are around the league and work for different teams and various things of that nature. And I've heard in the past of coaches who have been hired who haven't interviewed necessarily the greatest. I can point to a few. Mark Trestman with the Bears, they said he didn't interview that particularly great, but it was what they needed at the time. He obviously didn't last long. Heard Rex Ryan with the Bills, didn't interview totally amazing, but he was, I guess they wanted to take a shot on him. Buffalo at that point in time, they just needed somebody who had experience in the playoffs. Obviously, his time with the Jets. I don't buy the whole he doesn't interview well. I don't buy that. I think the issue with Eric Bieniemy, and listen, I'm gonna give NFL front offices the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to bring up the fact that he's a black man. I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is, I'll blame it on the simple fact that his team is very successful and they always make deep runs in the playoffs. I'll be the fool that says that. And but to me, that's just not a good enough reason to pass up on a guy. You look around guys around the league, and I'm not saying that any of these guys are not qualified, but you look at a guy like Zach Taylor for the Bengals. You look at a guy like Brandon Staley. Is his name Brandon Stokely or Stoley? Staley for the Rams. And obviously they're part of some hot teams. And Brandon Staley, I believe, will be a fine football coach. Arthur Smith, for instance. I don't know. It bothers me a little bit right there, because I think at the very least he would be the hottest name. He would be the hottest name on the market. He'd be a guy that you'd be like, you know what, we want him. But for some reason, these NFL football teams just don't. Robert Saleh got hired before him, and I guess in a sense, it's all about what you're looking for. It is all about what you're looking for. But when you're the Falcons and you hire Arthur Smith over Eric Bieniemy or some of these other teams, I'm even told Adam Gase is getting looks as a head coach again. For the Eagles, like, come on. It's just interesting to me. It's a shame. I really hope that he gets another opportunity to prove himself. And I'm ashamed that one of my team is one of the teams that shunned him, so to speak, for the coach that we currently have. Jake, Danny, you guys got anything you want to weigh in on this at all?
Danny, you have anything? Do you want me to go?
I mean, all I'm gonna say is, as Malik said, I hope it's because he's not fitting what they're doing. That's what my hope is. Like, the perfect example of this is the New York Giants last year, right? Joe Judge, a lot of people said not qualified for the job, and I'm not sure if they interviewed Eric Bieniemy. I don't quite remember if they did, but like, that could be a perfect example of like, Joe Judge is the guy who's going to be the enforcer. He's the guy who's going to bring the culture change, and maybe they didn't see that in Eric Bieniemy. I still think Bieniemy is going to get the Texans job. I hope so, at least, because he deserves the job. But that's my only take on this. I hope it's just the organizations don't see him as a fit.
Well, the one thing that I heard, I don't know if the Texans are going to hire him, because apparently the thing is, he wants to, if he does take the Texans job, he doesn't want Jack Easter be there. Apparently he wants he probably would want John Dorsey, who was he worked with in Kansas City. So that's not something I see McNair wanting to do personally. I think he's going to sacrifice Deshaun Watson for that too. I don't think he's going to get rid of Mr. B because of their close relationship. Jake, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, you kind of know where I stand on Bieniemy. I'm a lot lower on him than a lot of people, and this time of year for the last.
Can we talk about why though? Can you elaborate why?
I am a believer in the philosophy that, okay, I'm gonna lay down and believe that the NFL front offices know way more than I do, and if they don't see this guy succeeding as a head coach, I'm going to agree with them on that. Now, I think NFL front offices make bad decisions all the time.
They do.
But we're talking about almost half the league interviewing this guy, and all of them passing. Multiple teams signing Zach Taylor, Joe Judge, Cliff Kingsbury, who won less than 50% of his games at his alma mater and got fired by his alma mater. Dan Campbell, who was a tight ends coach and has been with the Saints forever. These lower names, and there's one or two every year that just come straight out of left field. So all of these front offices consistently passing up on this guy. I will tell you maybe why. This guy has called plays one time in his career for his alma mater at Colorado. They went 3-10 and 1-12 in his 2 seasons calling plays at Colorado. He was a running backs coach for Kansas City and has been the OC ever since Patrick Mahomes got there. Hasn't called plays. And then, Andy Reid came to KC. They won division titles with Alex Smith. I don't know exactly what he does for KC. I do get the fact that he is involved in schematics, like Rishi said. But as far as a head coach goes, and he does have that baggage that I talk about all the time, not a huge deal, but the guy has done some bad things in the past. So what? Whatever. But I am a believer in believing the fact that the NFL front offices know a lot more than I do about this guy. They've over half the league, just under half the league, has sat with this guy, talked to him, and they've all passed.
Here's my issue. My one thing, and that's the last thing I'll say before we move to the next topic, guys. Even if you have an issue with him schematically, not saying that you do, Jake, I'm talking about NFL front offices. Bring the guy in for his ability to motivate. Bring his guy from ability he's able to lead.
Well, I think a lot of coaches. Hold on.
That's the one thing you hear from guys that have Eric Bieniemy has coached, or Andy Reid. They say he's a leader of men. The people rave about him with that. So at the very least, if you have issues with him schematically, you say, hey, you know what? We don't know if this guy is right for our team from a calling plays standpoint, X's and O's standpoint. I think somebody's got to take a chance and see what this guy can do, because I think that he is a leader of men. I think that he's going to make some NFL front office very, very happy that they took a chance on him. I don't know if it's going to be this cycle. I don't think it's going to be this cycle. I think it's going to be the next cycle, personally. And I think that he'll wind up being a very good football coach. But we've seen NFL front offices miss on head coaches before in the past. We've seen it. We've seen them wait too long for guys to get jobs and things of that nature. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how it all shakes out. My thing is, you just never know, right? Sean Payton was a quarterbacks coach for, I believe, the Dallas Cowboys, right? Now he's Saints head coach. He's had damn near a winning record every damn season. He's been the coach there almost. Albeit he also had Drew Brees, but still, you just never know what you have in a guy necessarily. But we want to keep it going, guys. Two-ish more topics. Last NFL topic though. What coaching hire will have the most immediate impact? I'll start with mine. Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell for the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell is a guy that I've known about for years now. For years. It was shocking to a lot of people. It was not shocking to me. He's a guy that was really in the running for the Miami Dolphins head coaching job when he took over as the interim head coach a couple years back. He did a phenomenal job. He is a leader of men. He is structured. He is well detailed. I'm very, very excited for Dan Campbell. And people look at it and they're like, he's a tight ends coach for the Saints. No, he's so much more than that. You see the culture that Joe Judge has set over there in New York, right? That's what you're getting with a guy like Dan Campbell. You're getting a guy he took I forgot who was that coach at the time, Max? Joe Philbin?
Yeah,
Joe Philbin. It was Joe Philbin. He took that team, and obviously he didn't do anything wondrous, but it's just the order that these teams.
They looked motivated. They wanted to go out and win games. And the players raved about Cameron Wake, especially, was raving about how just like
prepared he was.
We all thought he was going to be the next coach. We all did.
Everybody thought he was going to be the next head coach because of how good of a job he did. Obviously, that he didn't. Well, he wasn't the next head coach. I forgot who they hired after that, but
Gase.
They hired Adam Gase. Yeah. So, but Dan Campbell is going to do work wonders for the Detroit Lions. I think he is a culture setter, and he's exactly what the Detroit Lions need right now. Anybody else want to jump in and see and get their take of who's the one that has media impact?
Yeah, I'd have to say Robert Saleh. I mean, he's almost everything that you said about Dan Campbell, right? He's the motivator. He's really fired up. He's a defensive mastermind, really. He's able to work really well with different pieces. And if you think about
I don't know about that, but continue.
Yeah, and if you think about all the talent that he has, like Quinnen Williams and all the draft picks, all the young talent that he has on that defense, I mean, I think he's gonna make an immediate impact really quick. Just given, go ahead.
Richie, if you anybody who's listening, if you have an opportunity, go type in "fire Robert Saleh." That will be a long thread from before the 49ers drafted Nick Bosa. People were calling for his head. I'm not saying Robert Saleh is going to be a bad head coach. It's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is temper your expectations. The Jets have holes on their defense that they need to solve, particularly at their cornerback position. I would love to see Richard Sherman follow him over there to kind of set the standard and help him set the culture there. But it won't. I don't envision it looking pretty his first season as the head coach of the Jets or second season at all.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. But I think, especially this past season, with all the missing talent that he had, all the injuries on the defense, I think he was able to reset. I think all the crowd that was saying "fire Robert Saleh," that was early in his tenure, right? In 2017, 2018,
his first year. Year.
Before
I don't think he really had time to develop a culture, and it seems a little bit like an overreaction. They might have valid points, but I think he's progressed a long way from that time, and just given what he's able to do this past year, I think that really solidifies him. And a lot of the concerns that teams had the previous year in all their interviews, especially again, like all their injuries, Nick Bosa and other people on the D line, the corners who were injured, he was really able to hold the level of standard. Obviously, it wasn't as great as 2019, but they were still around the top 10 defense statistically, which I think he'll be able to do it with the Jets too.
So I also think it's going to be Robert Saleh. And I think when you take into account what he's coming to, I think the Jets are just their only way is to go up, right? And I think this is a complete 180 from when it's a complete reversal, of course, from the failed Adam Gase experiment. Gase was an offensive mind coming off of a subpar head coaching gig. They brought him over from Miami, and Saleh, intense, player-friendly defensive coach, entering his first job. And I am not a believer, and I tweeted this last week, I'm not a believer in the hire an offense or don't hire a defensive coach, because if you do, your offensive coordinator position will be a revolving door for your entire tenure. I don't care about that. Offensive coordinators are not hard to find. You can find someone who calls plays, and I don't care if you have to find a new one every 2 or 3 years. You need to get the best man for the job, and I think Robert Saleh is. He is intense. And what he did at San Francisco, he built that defense up. You need players to build defenses up. They got Nick Bosa. They brought over Richard Sherman. But the culture, like Richard Sherman, a 32-year-old veteran who's on his way out of the league, has said it now 2 years in a row about this guy, Robert Saleh, because he was supposed to get a buzz for a job last year. He didn't get hired. And this year, he was arguably the best candidate on the board, besides Bieniemy and maybe Dayball. But Richard Sherman now twice has gone out of his way and said how much he loves this guy. He doesn't have to do that. He's getting paid $12 million a year. He's on his way out of league. What does he care? What's the point of that? But no, he wants to go out of his way and really embrace this guy. And he's going to come into New York and just change everything. They're going to go from having an entire fan base calling for their head coach's head, for the players wanting to leave and get traded and get cut and all this stuff, to them playing for him. They're all going to play for him. I can guarantee you.
Yeah, I don't really want to beat a dead horse, but I'm excited about this Jets team. I really am. The fact that they won 2 games at the end of last season or this season, it's showing that okay, they need to do something different. Fired Adam Gase, went the defensive route. Robert Saleh is going to immediately change this culture. What he did with the 49ers was absolutely remarkable. As Jake said, Richard Sherman, you had other guys completely rave about him. If we want to talk about guys raving about Bieniemy, let's also say the same exact thing about Saleh. I'm just really excited to see what he can do with this culture, and you got to go from there. Yes, they don't have the talent necessary to really compete in the AFC East, but they're going to get there behind this culture.
That's what
yeah, I'm not going to go and say Robert Saleh and make this unanimous because, I don't want to put people to sleep here, but I'm going to pick Arthur Smith. Because I think what that guy managed to do to Ryan Tannehill, he completely rejuvenated his career. He made Ryan Tannehill a sleeper MVP pick for most of the season. He made him look he played his best football of his career under Arthur Smith. And that whole Titans offense was dynamic because of his play calling. And I think, that's the kind of spark that Atlanta needs. Atlanta has the weapons. Atlanta has the quarterback, I still believe. I think Matt Ryan, even though he's been kind of off since his MVP season, obviously, I think that, a guy like Arthur Smith is exactly what Matt Ryan needs to get back to that sort of level. Sure, I know they have to shore up the running game. I know they have to shore up the offensive line a bit, but they have the weapons. And I think a lot of it is motivation on the part of Matt Ryan. And I think Arthur Smith's going to get the best out of that team.
It'll definitely be exciting. I'm surprised nobody said Urban Meyer, but
well, I mean, we're all on that train, right? Like Urban Meyer, it's cool. It's going to be interesting. I think they'll play for him, and he's going to get a lot of established head coaches, I think, to his staff. But Urban Meyer in the NFL just weird. I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Want to jump to our next topic, guys. We get Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. Super excited for this rematch. It is going to be a bloodbath. No, it's going to be over in the first round. But I'm pretty excited for this fight. Max, I know you're hyped for it. Jake, I guess you're hyped for it. I definitely want to get some takes on this. Final thoughts. We've been kind of touching at it for the last few weeks about Conor versus Dustin Poirier. I want to just get your thoughts. I know, Rishi, I know you're not like necessarily the biggest UFC guy. Same with you. But if we've all seen Conor McGregor fight, we kind of all know what he brings to the table to an extent. Max, I'm gonna let you kick this one off. What is your final prediction for Conor McGregor versus UFC 257? Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier.
I like Conor McGregor to knock him out in the second round. At first, I don't know if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, I said I like Poirier by decision. Yeah. I'm buying into the hype, man. Call it recency bias. I'm buying into the hype. I just think, when I see Motivated Mac, that's what they call him, Motivated Mac. When I see Motivated Mac, putting all that stuff on his Instagram and his social media, the watch, the suit, he's doing that media day. He just has that drive in his eyes. I can't bet against that guy. And look, here's how I envision. There's two ways this fight can go, right? I think none of the two ways include Poirier knocking out McGregor early. I think if it goes out of the first 2 rounds, I like Poirier to win by decision. But if it doesn't go out of the first 2 rounds, as I don't expect it to, I think McGregor's gonna finish Poirier. I think Poirier has a lot to prove here, and we're not talking about it. He got knocked out in the first round of his first fight against Conor McGregor, albeit they were both way worse fighters than they are now. And I know that Poirier's career has completely taken a trajectory for the better ever since he moved up to a new weight class to 155. But so we have to acknowledge that he's been a lot more active than McGregor has this past calendar year. Every single fight he's been in has been a brawl, except for the Khabib fight, because Khabib he fought the greatest of all time, arguably, right? That's expected. But
DC's number one.
Yes. Yeah. Let's look no further than the fight against Dan Hooker, right? That was a war. That was one of the probably, at least personally, my favorite fight of this past year, because those guys were bloodied up. It was a very even fight. Both guys landed some pretty clean shots. But, at the end of the day, Poirier's experience, Poirier's determination ultimately led him to win that fight. And I think he has the ability to beat McGregor in a long fought war like that. But I just think McGregor's not going to let it happen. I think McGregor's going to end him relatively early, maybe not as early as the first fight, but I'm going to lean Conor McGregor here.
Rishi, quick, who do you got winning?
I'd have to agree with what Max said about, the motivated McGregor part. Obviously, I don't know too much about the technicalities of UFC and, how skilled each fighter is. But, when you look at McGregor, you just, see that fighter instinct. And, that's just something I noticed without even being a UFC fan. You just see his Instagram stories. You see how, aggressive he is and just every nature of his life. I'd have to go with McGregor.
Respect, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, the first pay-per-view event of 2021, I'm excited, right? Conor McGregor. The biggest thing about this fight is who steps up on the biggest stage? Who steps up when the lights are on? And Conor McGregor, every single time, he embraces it. That's who he is. He's Mystic Mac. He's the notorious Conor McGregor. And Max kind of hit the nail on his head. The first 2 rounds, I think Conor McGregor, it's going to be a quick little knockout and that's it, or it'll be a decision in Poirier's favor. But Max kind of stole it. I'm going to go with the knockout, McGregor, second round.
Jake.
We talked about this last week about how much Poirier has well, I said how much Poirier improved and how much of a different fighter he is since the last time they faced off. He outboxed Justin Gaethje. He beat Max Holloway, and he's a different fighter. But again, I'm gonna look at Conor McGregor right now. I think he wants this more than anything he's ever wanted. He wanted to fight this fight in December. He wanted to fight it in November. It's gonna be happening at the end of January. He's wanted this for so long. Mm-hmm. He's a better fighter. Poirier has fought a lot more recently. He's had a great last 3 years, other than losing to Khabib. He's beaten a lot of great fighters. Mm-hmm. But I just think Conor's better. And I don't know about inside 1 round, inside 2 rounds. I have faith in Conor outside the second round here because I think Poirier's stamina is probably better right now, but Conor's stamina is kind of still good. But no, I think Conor should knock him out inside 3 rounds. So I'll say third. But give me Conor. So and also the undercard, the co-main event, Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker. I love Michael Chandler. I absolutely love that guy. He has dominated Bellator for so long, and I cannot wait to see him fight.
So I'll say this, and I want to be very, very frank when I say this. Dustin Poirier, right? I'm going to be very technical, actually. I'm going to be technical with it. A lot more technical than these guys. Dustin Poirier in his career has only been knocked out, I believe, twice in the first round. Guess what they were 2 guys? A left-handed southpaw. It was Conor McGregor and Michael Johnson. Is there a trend there? Yeah, there's a trend. Dustin Poirier doesn't do well against left-handed southpaws. If you go back and you replay the footage, it was the exact same shot that Conor McGregor knocked him out with. Listen, styles make fights. Dustin Poirier, sure, he could have gotten better. But the same thing is, listen, Conor McGregor's going into this fight with the mental advantage. He's already knocked the guy out. All right? Although Dustin Poirier has improved as a fighter, and I'm sure he's going to try to make it gritty, everybody's got a plan to get punched in the mouth. I'm a big Dustin Poirier guy. Love his charity, the good fight. But I think this isn't going to be a good fight. I think that he's going to get slept, and he's going to get slept early. And I think Conor's main motivation for beating this guy is it's almost like insanity, doing the same thing over again, expecting a different result. Conor's main motivation for dusting Dustin Poirier the way he's going to is one man. It's Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's because Conor wants to see Khabib Nurmagomedov for the second time. And exactly how I said styles make fights, that fight won't go any differently. Khabib said, I'll fight again if you guys impress me. I expect Conor to come out and do something absolutely insane that nobody expects. I genuinely think he's going to dust Dustin Poirier. It'll be interesting. It'll be a show. It'll be a spectacle, like all Conor McGregor fights are. That being said, the notorious one will prevail. The notorious one will knock him out with the notorious left hand. And we'll be here talking about it on Monday, recapping and talking about how Conor McGregor gets on the mic, calls out Jake Paul, and calls out Khabib.
God.
That I'm very, very sure of. That all being said, guys, we're going to wrap the show up with this. We appreciate you guys, joining in each and every single Tuesday night. Make sure that you guys enjoy this week. Playoff football. Conor McGregor. This is a great weekend for sports. It's a great weekend for sports. I'm super excited for it. In the off chance that Dustin Poirier wins, I told you so. I'm joking. But no, guys, we want to thank you so much for joining us on the show. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you guys follow us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and engage with us. Our guys come out with some great articles each and every single week. Rishi does some amazing work for us as well, who we just brought on. And check his recap, his preview out that he does before the games. I'm excited to see what his keys to victories are this upcoming week. You can catch his keys to victory on our Twitter, where they'll be coming out right before the games. But other than that, guys, thank you guys for tuning in to TWSN. And as always, the show will go on. Good night, everybody.